Hey everyone, it's Mega here. So you've just enjoyed an amazing durian, maybe a Musang King or a blackthorn, and you're looking at that big glossy seed thinking, hey, I could grow my own durian tree. It seems so simple, right? Pop it in some soil, add a little water, and boom, future durian empire. But hold on a second, durian seeds look easy to plant, but is it really worth the wait? Let's uncover the hidden truth. This is a question I get asked all the time, and the answer, like a good durian, is complex and has many layers. Hi durian lovers, welcome back to the channel. In this video we're diving deep, and I mean deep, into the world of growing durian from seed. We're not just scratching the surface, we're breaking down the real pros and cons, focusing on the nitty-gritty, the costs involved, or lack thereof initially, the colossal time investment you're looking at, and what you can realistically expect in terms of harvest potential. Whether you're a curious backyard enthusiast with a green thumb, or perhaps you're dreaming of a small-scale durian farm, this information is absolutely crucial. Trust me, you'll want to stick around for this one. Alright, let's kick things off with the biggest, most obvious pro of growing durian from seed. It's incredibly cheap to get started. I mean, think about it. If you're already buying and eating durians, and let's be honest, if you're watching this, you probably are, then the seeds are essentially a free bonus. You've paid for the delicious fruit, and now you've got this potential tree just sitting there. It's like getting a lottery ticket with every durian you buy, except this lottery ticket requires more patience. But that initial cost, practically zero, especially when you compare it to buying a grafted sapling, which can set you back a fair bit. This super low barrier to entry is fantastic for anyone who's just curious or wants to dip their toes into the world of durian cultivation without a major financial commitment. Maybe you've got some extra garden space or even just a large pot and you're thinking, why not give it a shot? It's the ultimate low-risk experiment. You can plant a few seeds, see what happens, and learn as you go. There's no pressure to succeed because you haven't invested a fortune. It's the horticultural equivalent of a no-strings-attached trial. And who doesn't love a good free trial, especially when it might eventually lead to the king of fruits? Imagine you've just finished a D24 and you're holding that seed. It feels substantial, full of potential. The idea of transforming that small, unassuming seed into a towering tree that produces its own fruit is undeniably appealing. Okay, so we've established that starting from seed is easy on the wallet, but what about the tree itself? Well, here's another potential pro that often gets overlooked. Seed-grown durian trees can develop an incredibly robust and deep taproot system. Think of it like the anchor of a giant ship. A grafted tree, while it has its own advantages we'll touch on later, often starts with a root system that's been transplanted and might not develop that same primary super deep taproot in the same way. This taproot is nature's way of ensuring the tree is well grounded and has access to deeper water sources. This strong, naturally developed root system can be a game changer, especially in areas that might experience periods of drought or have less than ideal soil conditions. A tree with deep roots is like a well-prepared survivalist. It can reach down for moisture when the surface soil is parched. This can translate to a hardier tree, one that's potentially more resilient to environmental stresses. Imagine two trees in a dry spell, one with shallow roots, struggling, and another with its deep taproot, still drawing up essential water. It's a significant natural advantage that seedlings often possess. Beyond the practicalities of cost and root systems, there's another huge pro to growing durian from seed, and this one is all about the heart and the mind. It's an incredibly educational and deeply satisfying experience. Seriously, there's a unique kind of magic in watching a plant grow from a tiny seed that you yourself planted. It's a journey you embark on together, from that first hopeful act of placing it in soil to, hopefully, one day seeing it tower above you. This process teaches patience, observation, and a real appreciation for the complexities of nature. For hobbyists, backyard gardeners, or families looking for a long-term project, growing a durian tree from seed can be a fantastic learning adventure. Kids, especially, can get so much out of it. They learn about plant life cycles, the importance of care and nurturing, and the simple wonder of growth. Imagine explaining to a child that this massive, spiky fruit they love came from a little seed, and now you're going to grow another one. It connects them to their food and the environment in a very tangible way. It's like a living science experiment unfolding in your own backyard over years. There's also a profound sense of accomplishment that comes with it. Alright, we've sung the praises of starting durian from seed. It's cheap, can lead to strong trees, and it's super rewarding. But now we need to flip the coin and look at the other side, and this is where things get a bit more challenging. The first major con, and it's a big one, is the extremely long time it takes for a seed-grown durian tree to actually produce fruit. We're not talking a couple of years like some other fruit trees. No, we are talking about a serious long-term commitment. So, how long exactly? Brace yourselves. A durian tree grown from seed can take anywhere from 8 to 15 years, and sometimes even longer, before you see your first flower, let alone a mature, edible fruit. Let that sink in. 8 to 15 years. Think about what you were doing 10 years ago. Think about what you might be doing 10 years from now. That's the kind of timescale we're dealing with. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and you need the patience of a saint, or at least a very dedicated long-term planner. Okay, so you've decided you have the patience of a Zen master, and you're willing to wait that 8 to 15 years. Fantastic. But here comes the next big con, and it's a real gamble. The unpredictable fruit quality of a seed-grown durian. When you plant a seed, you're essentially playing the genetic lottery. Unlike a grafted tree, which is a clone of a proven high-quality parent, a seedling is a unique genetic individual, a combination of its two parent trees, the mother tree it came from, and the father tree that pollinated the flower. This means that the delicious Musang King seed you planted might not grow up to produce Musang King quality fruit. In fact, it almost certainly won't be exactly the same. It could be something entirely new. And while new can sometimes be exciting, in the world of durian it often means a downgrade. You might end up with fruit that is smaller, has less flesh, a blander taste, a less desirable texture, or even in some unfortunate cases, fruit that is barely edible or completely unpalatable. It's a total roll of the dice. Think of it like having children. Kids inherit traits from both parents, but they are never exact copies. Sometimes they get the best of both, sometimes it's a mixed bag. With durian seedlings, it's very similar. Now let's talk about something that might not immediately spring to mind for a hobbyist, but is absolutely critical if you're even remotely thinking about this from a small farm or commercial perspective. Lost revenue opportunity. We've talked about the long wait for fruit from a seedling, 8 to 15 years. If you're growing durian with any intention of selling the fruit, even on a small scale, those years are not just waiting time, they are years of no income from that particular tree. Consider this: if you plant a grafted durian tree, it might start producing a commercially viable harvest within, say, 5 to 7 years. That means for every year beyond that point that your seedling tree is still just growing leaves and branches, you're missing out on potential sales. If a seedling takes 12 years to fruit, that's potentially 5 to 7 years of lost income compared to a grafted tree. Multiply that by the number of trees and it really starts to add up. Time in this context is quite literally money. This opportunity cost is a huge factor for anyone looking to make a return on their investment. The land, the water, the fertilizer, your labor, these all have costs associated with them, even if they're minimal for a backyard grower. Alright, let's assume you've got the patience, you're okay with the genetic lottery, and you're not worried about lost revenue. There's another practical consideration with seed-grown durian trees. They can get big, and I mean potentially really big, and often in a less manageable way than their grafted counterparts. Seedling trees tend to revert to a more wild growth habit, often growing very tall and quite wide, sometimes with a less predictable branching structure. This can present a real challenge, especially if space is at a premium. Grafted trees are often selected not just for their fruit, but also for more manageable growth habits. They might be grafted onto rootstocks that control vigor, or the scion wood itself comes from a parent tree known for a more compact or easily trainable form. With a seedling, you're getting the full, untamed genetic expression of that particular seed. This can result in a tree that quickly outgrows its allotted space in a smaller backyard or a densely planted orchard. It's like getting a puppy without knowing if it's going to grow into a Chihuahua or a Great Dane. We've talked a lot about the long wait associated with seed-grown durians. Now let's consider what can happen during that long wait. For 8 to 15 years, your young, non-fruiting tree is vulnerable. This extended juvenile phase means there's a much longer window for things to go wrong before you ever see a single fruit. Pests, diseases, unexpected weather events like droughts or floods, or even accidental damage can all threaten your tree. And the longer it takes to mature, the more opportunities there are for these problems to arise. Imagine carefully nurturing a seedling for 5, 6, or even 7 years. It's growing well, looking healthy, and you're starting to get really hopeful. Then a particularly bad pest infestation hits, or a severe storm snaps its main trunk. All those years of effort and anticipation could be wiped out in a short period. While this risk exists for any young tree, including grafted ones, the sheer length of the non-fruiting period for seedlings significantly amplifies this risk. So, after exploring all these pros and cons, we arrive at the million-dollar question, or perhaps the multi-year question: who should actually consider growing durian from seed, and who should probably steer clear? It really boils down to your personal goals, your available resources, time, space, patience, and your tolerance for uncertainty. There's no single right answer for everyone, but we can definitely draw some clear lines in the sand, or rather, in the soil. Let's start with who this is perfect for. Growing durian from seed is an absolutely fantastic option if you are a dedicated hobbyist, a passionate plant experimenter, or someone who simply loves the journey of nurturing life from its very beginning. If you have ample space in your garden, perhaps a larger property where a big, unpredictable tree isn't an issue, then go for it. Crucially, you need to have an abundance of patience and be genuinely unfazed by the idea of waiting 8, 10, even 15 years or more for potential fruit, with no guarantee of its quality. If the educational aspect and the sheer satisfaction of the process are your primary motivators, then planting a durian seed can be an incredibly rewarding long-term project. It's also a good choice if you're interested in potentially discovering a new, unique durian variety, even if the odds are slim for a superstar, or if you want to grow rootstock for future grafting projects. Some people specifically grow seedlings for their vigorous root systems and then graft known cultivars onto them later. This is a more advanced technique but utilizes that key seedling advantage. So, after all that, we come back to our original question. Is growing durian from seed worth it? As you've seen, it's a classic it depends situation. If you're a patient soul, a true horticultural adventurer with plenty of space and a love for the long game, then yes, planting that durian seed can be an incredibly rewarding journey. Full of learning and anticipation, it's a low-cost way to connect with nature and potentially just maybe grow something unique. But, and this is a big but, only if you're in it for the long haul, with patience and space to spare. However, if your dream is to taste homegrown durian sooner rather than later, or if you need predictable quality for your taste buds or even a small market stall, then grafted trees are almost certainly your best bet. They take a lot of the guesswork and a significant chunk of the waiting time out of the equation. Ultimately, the choice depends on your personal goals, your resources, and what you value most in the gardening experience. I hope this deep dive has given you a much clearer picture to help you decide which path is right for your own durian destiny. Thanks so much for sticking with me through this detailed breakdown. If this video helped you make a more informed decision, or if you just learned something cool about durians, please give this video a big thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Have you tried growing durian from seed, or do you prefer grafted trees? Share your experiences, your successes, your frustrations. Let's learn from each other. Don't forget to share this video with your fellow durian enthusiasts, especially those dreaming of growing their own tree. And finally, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell for more fruit growing tips, backyard experiments, and honest pros and cons reviews. See you in the next one.